This is the Fantech GP11 Gaming Controller Shooter. I got it off Lazada for about $11, $12 with shipping, and I got it for the sole purpose of having an opinion of it on record online. I wanted to review it. So I bought one, I had it shipped, it came in like 2 days, which was very fast. So I've got like 7 gaming controllers, no, 8, 7 DualShock 4s and 1 Xbox One controller, and I use that for both console and PC gaming. And I wanted to see if a budget solution would be, comparable. Would it perform as well? Is it as comfortable? Does it, will you necessarily need to buy a DualShock 4 or similar caliber controller when you can buy something this cheap and have a similar experience? Let's find out. Let's check it out. Okay, so I've had this for about a few weeks, maybe a month by now, since I made that initial recording when I first got it, and I've played a number of games with it, different genres, and it's pretty good. But because it's so cheap, right? Because it's priced the way it is, there are a number of things that could be improved. First, let's get to the good stuff. What's good about the Fantech GP11? Okay, one, the price. When I got it, it was on sale because I think I got it on one of those Lazada sales. I got it for like $10, 511 pesos, cheap as dirt. So didn't hesitate, just picked it up because it was little money for what it could give me, right? Another good thing about it is the feel of it. So just holding it in your hands, it's very ergonomic, feels really good in the hands. It's designed, well, I think it was supposed to be designed sort of like the 360, but that actually feels a lot more like the Xbox One controller in terms of just shape, right? So if you find the Xbox One controller comfortable to hold, you're going to find the Fantech GP11 also very comfortable to hold. Another good thing would be the feel of the top of the analog sticks. Those are very nice and rubbery and very grippy. There's some indentations, not indentations, like to indent something is to go in, right? So they're bumps. There are bumps on the stick itself that indicate up, down, left, right. It's not like you'll need it, but it's good to have some texture on your stick. It actually feels very rubbery, very nice to touch versus maybe no, this isn't rubbery too. So these are replacement sticks, right? Because they're blue. These feel kind of plasticky, very hard plastic. So I usually like putting like a nub of rubber on top of these PlayStation 4, DualShock 4 replacement nubs. But with the Fantech GP11, you don't really find yourself needing that kind of thing. So that's good. Okay, another good thing are the shoulder buttons, the bumpers. They feel pretty solid. There's a nice clickiness to them. It doesn't feel as good as the Xbox One controller because this one's very clicky, very snappy. This one's a little loose compared to that, but still pretty good. Unfortunately, better than this is better than the DualShock 4 buttons on top. But you kind of get used to this. Another great thing about the Fantech GP11 is because it was designed for PS3 and PC, it has a lot of like legacy support. So when you plug it in to a PC, Windows immediately recognizes it as an Xbox 360 controller, which is good because a lot of like the old games don't necessarily support like the DualShock 4. The Xbox One controller gets recognized as an Xbox controller, but like other controllers don't necessarily get recognized as such. So the Fantech GP11, so for older games, like a good example would be Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and that was one of the biggest complaints of a lot of people who were using DualShock 4 on those games, is that they were so poorly ported to the PC that it only really supported the Xbox 360 controller. I think there were even some people having problems with the Xbox One controller. So using this, a lot of legacy games will just immediately recognize it as an Xbox 360, which is good. The layout for the buttons is also Xbox. So a lot of games use this as the default layout. Some games, like newer stuff, they have the option to go Sony DualShock 4 kind of layout, but this one doesn't have that. It's got the Xbox One controller. So that's kind of, I guess that's neither here nor there. It's a preference thing, but if you're used to the Xbox layout, then they're gonna love this. So let's talk about things that are kind of preferential. Like, I may not like them, some people might. One would be the cable length. So I understand why it's this long. It was designed for PS3 as well as PC. So when you're playing on a PS3, it's probably your console's probably far away, so it's got plugged in. It has to be plugged into your console, and you're on way over here on the couch, so the cable has to be long enough to reach. But for my use case, since I'm using it on the PC, I don't really have like a PC setup with the couch and TV PC setup. I have it like this, or I'm playing on a laptop. So the cable doesn't really need to be long. I need it like a foot long. That's pretty much it. So I end up with a lot of excess cable, but that's a preference thing, right? I think that if you have a PC setup where you're gaming on the couch, you'd probably be better served with a wireless controller. So yeah, there's that. Another thing that I personally don't really like, but could be a non-issue for other people, would be the button presses. They're a little too long. It needs to depress quite a bit before they register, unlike the very snappy, very quick DualShock 4 buttons. Also, I think the Xbox One has a very short travel distance. Yeah, very short travel distance on the Xbox One. The Nyko Core controllers also has quite a bit of a distance, but that's okay. This isn't as bad as this. This travels quite a lot. So there's a rubber grip on the side, which feels good for the most part, but this is the kind of rubber that kind of gets sticky after a while. So I've had it for about a month, and it hasn't gone sticky yet, although it might eventually. Um, but yeah, so it's got a weird feel to it that people might not like. I am on the fence about it. Yeah, so those are just like things that are could be preference, right? Um, but let's start talking about the things that kind of make it not the best. You can see why it was priced the way it was priced. Number one would be the D-pad. So it kind of inherited the really bad design of the D-pad of the 360 controller. So I tried playing some fighting games on it. When you're playing fighting games on a stick, you kind of tend to rely on the not a stick, on a pad. You tend to rely on the D-pad because it's a lot. It should be a lot more accurate for those quick movement and input, right? It should be a lot more accurate than this short small stick. So pressing forward on this sometimes will net you up or down input, because you can see when you press on forward or back, the top and bottom buttons also kind of depress. So just pressing slightly up or down on the D-pad will also trigger up and down. So that's not good for fighting games. Not that good. So if you're you might not want to play. If you're getting this, you might not want to play some fighting games on it. Another thing that I found was kind of weird, it's called a shooter, right? Is the accuracy on the right analog stick. So I was playing some Just Cause 4, which is pretty good. You should get it. Um, Making the fine adjustments to get a headshot with a marksman rifle. I forget what it's called. Like, so there's a little bit of zoom to it. Moving this stick left and right, no matter how careful I am with the stick, it always just moves way too much to either side. So it was really hard to aim, which is weird because it's supposed to be a first-person shooter controller. So what I did was I got pissed off with that, and I switched to my DualShock 4, and I found this much easier to control in terms of just fine-tuning for aiming. So there's that. So how can you use the Fantech? So it's good for like run and gun shooters, so like your Mega Mans and your probably Cupheads. Um, Probably good for like adventure games as well because the sticks, not the sticks, the triggers do feel great for like running and gunning and shooting and driving as well. So I found that in Just Cause 4, pressing this down just a little bit gives you a little bit of acceleration. So there's a lot of accuracy with the triggers. So yeah, so those are just the things that you have to consider. But it's cheap, so it's like I guess in summary, it's cheap. There are some problems with it. Accuracy isn't great. Buttons take quite a bit of distance to depress. D-pad isn't good. But you know, if you can live with all of those for $10, man, this is a good steal for your like budget gaming rig. So you could something to throw in your bag, take it with you. It works with everything USB. So yeah, Fantech GP11. Oh, by the way, one of my goals for 2019 is to try and get my YouTube monetization back. So I know um, it's I'm a long ways away, but you know if you watched the video up to this point, maybe you could consider dropping a like or a comment and maybe subscribing. Thank you.